in Before I Fall, in high school, everything has a deeper meaning. The kind of food you eat in the cafeteria means if you're cool or not. Where you park is how cool you are. You know, obviously your boyfriend and the clubs you belong to.
Yeah. I remember that. I mean, I remember that so strongly in high school too. I mean, there was just such an encoded language of what made you cool or not. And to some extent it was inescapable, but also it was just like, it was unspoken. By the time you were in high school, it was unspoken. You didn't even need to clarify it anymore. At least the people who are well-versed in that language didn't need to clarify it. But it was like, it could be everything. I mean, it was like if you wore a scrunchie, like in your hair, it was like, are you kidding? You know what I mean? Like scrunchies, are you in 5th grade, you know? But it was just like, but everything, this minutia, and such a constricting and ultimately meaningless, you know, system. So I kind of, and you know, it's something that people really respond to about the book. And almost everybody who's read it, basically from any age, especially people who grew up in suburbia, but, you know, even people who didn't, it's like, you know, they just say it takes them right back to being in high school. Some of them, you know, I think then kind of resent me for that.
Like, maybe I don't want to look at that.
Exactly.
No, and at a certain point, she also says, like, when you're popular, there are no consequences. And I think that really kind of takes over the book, too, because while there are these rules that you have to follow, because her and her friends are kind of rule the school a little bit, she does get to say, you know, I don't really care, I'm going to do this anyway. But they do it in a way that almost solidifies their popularity. Yeah. They become the leaders rather than the followers. And in the Do, this group, this clique, you see the major problems in it, because you have some of the girls that might be a little meaner than others, and that start to, you know, jockey for position, and it's kind of painful to watch.
Absolutely. I mean, but although I have to say that some of the, you know, when she says at the start, you know, there are no consequences, that's one of the best things of being popular. I mean, that is a belief that she holds at the start of the novel that is proven ultimately to be incorrect. I mean, the book is an exploration of how just because you don't perceive there to be consequences of your actions doesn't mean there aren't any. It just means that you're closing your eyes. You know what I mean? So that is, I mean, ultimately that's kind of a spurious opinion that she holds of herself and her friends. But yeah, I mean, they're mean. I mean, I would use a curse word to describe them, but I don't know how.
And people do.
Yeah, and people do all through the book, so.
She hears that a lot, and I think the first time she hears somebody actually fighting back against her, and she has to say, well, what if my actions cause this other person to feel? She's kind of surprised, because I think we might see kind of the first time she realizes, hey, when I say something, it has an effect.
Right, absolutely. And also, like, oh, people don't just like us. You know what I mean? People don't necessarily, I mean, they may not stand up to us, they may invite us to parties, but like, people don't necessarily like us. I don't even know what my little sister could say about me, you know. I don't know what kind of legacy I would be leaving behind if I were to die now.
Oh, and I think that's really sad. But she does redeem herself.
She does redeem herself.
Yeah. She does ultimately realize what she has done, and she makes some very big sacrifices.
It's true.
And so by the end of it,
she comes through.
She does.
She really pulls through.